Good morning Year 4, and this is your literacy video for if you've got this booklet or this booklet on Tuesday the 2nd of February. Now this week I'm going to be focusing on fantastic handwriting. So whenever you take a picture and send that to the Year 4 email address, the main thing I'm going to be looking at is to make sure you've got all of your answers correct, but then checking that your handwriting is the best that it can be. Remember, we are still looking for pen licences even though we aren't in school at the moment. Okay, so we're going to start today by looking at some high frequency word sentences. Okay, so I've got my 6 high frequency words at the bottom of my board. Let's quickly remind ourselves of what these words say. So over here we've got bean, began, because, before, bear and back. And we've got to decide which word completes each sentence. So, the panda has black and white fluffy fur, and I've even put a picture here to help you. So what do you think the missing word is in my sentence? The panda what? The panda before, the panda bean, or the panda bear? It's going to be bear, isn't it? Brilliant, well done Year 4. So bear. Making sure that I'm spelling it correctly as well. Let's have a look at the next one then. Okay, so you've got a 3 on the board now, Year 4. I want you to have a little go on your own. Then we'll go through them together. Okay, well done for having a go then. So we've got I'll be in a few minutes. I'll be began in a few minutes. Does that make sense? No, we've already had bear. I'll be back in a few minutes. Well done if you got that one correct at home. Okay. My dog is called Dory. I've told you about Dory lots of times. My dog is called Dory. She is very forgetful. Okay, so which is my missing word? My dog is called Dory. Being, she is very forgetful, or because she is very forgetful? It's going to be because, isn't it? Making sure we spell this word correctly. It is a long one. And remember Year 4 that because is a conjunction, a joining word that makes our sentences longer. I've given you some extra information about Dory. I've told you that she's very forgetful. Have you to Longton Park? And this one is a question because it ends with a question mark. So what do you think my missing word is there? Have you before to Longton Park, or have you been to Longton Park? It's going to be been. Fantastic Year 4. I'm very impressed with the effort you're putting in at home. Okay, now this one is super tricky because it's got 2 missing words. So I'm just going to tick off the words we've done. So we've done been, we've done because we've done bear and we've done back, which means I've got began and before left. It before to rain. Does that make sense, year 4? Not quite, so it must be began. It began to rain before I got home. So before would fit here. Well done, year 4, if you managed to get those 6 words in the correct sentences. Now we're going to start today by looking at this booklet. Okay, and if you've got this booklet, your learning question says, can I identify, and that just means find, can I identify objects based on a description? Okay, so we already know that objects are nouns. A noun is a name. Okay, so we're looking for objects. And a description is a piece of writing that describes the object. So if I was describing my Sandon hoodie, I could describe it as blue. And I could describe it as warm. Okay, so we've got to try and figure out what item is being described. And your activity is called Who Am I? Who am I? You drink from me. I hold liquid. So let's have a look now at the pictures on my board. So we've got a glass or a cup, something that we drink from. We've got a plate, something that we eat from. And then we've got a cloud, which is up in the sky and rains, doesn't it? So which object are my sentences describing? You drink from me. I hold liquid. Now, which of these items is the item that you drink from and one that holds a liquid? Okay, so it's this one, isn't it? And we're going to circle the correct one. Let's have one more go. Okay, so this time I go on your feet. You wear me when you go running. And my pictures are a pair of socks, a pair of trainers, and a pair of wellies. Now, which of those would you wear on your feet? It's all of them, isn't it? So we need to look at the second sentence. You wear me when you go running. Which of those would you wear when you go running? Would you just wear your socks? Would you wear trainers? Or would you wear your wellies? Now, I wear my wellies when I'm taking Dory for a walk and it's going to be really wet and really muddy. And I definitely have to put shoes on the outside of my socks. So it must be trainers. Okay, so let's have a little look at your activity then, year 4. And you're going to be looking at page 18 today. Okay, so it says, read the sentences, draw a ring around the picture which matches each pair of sentences. So you've got 2 sentences that you're going to read and you're going to think, are those sentences describing a ball, a bike or a football goal? Are these sentences describing a tent, a torch or a welly? Okay, and you've got 4 to do like that, year 4, but you know I like to set you an extra challenge. extra challenge is to rewrite these sentences in your best joined handwriting, because remember what I said at the start? I'm looking for beautiful handwriting this week. And if your handwriting is beautiful, you'll get a mention in my next video. Okay, so I'm going to have a go at writing one of these sentences in my best handwriting for you to see. So I'm going to go with the first one. So I've started with my capital letter I, making sure my tall letters are really tall and that my pen doesn't come off the board. I have 2 wheels. And then at the end, if that sentence is a full stop, the next one, you can ride me. Full stop. And there, year 4, you'll notice that my tall letters go all the way up. That any tail letters, I know there aren't any on that sentence, but would go below the line. And my letters are all the same size and they're sitting on that line. So don't forget when you take your picture to take a picture of your best handwriting as well. Okay, so now let's turn to this booklet then. So if you've got this booklet, your learning question for today says, can I understand how to skim a text to answer retrieval questions? Now, we've done retrieval questions loads over the past week, year 4. Remember, we're thinking about our reading dog Rex, who goes into that text and he pulls out that information. But today I'm going to teach you a new skill, okay? But before we do that, your text today is called Sports. And it tells you about 5 different sports. One of those sports is football, which I'm sure the boys in my set know lots and lots about. Another sport, a little less known, is badminton, okay, and that's a sport that you play using a racket and this instead of a ball. The next one is table tennis, which again we use a bat for and a ball and you play it across a table. Basketball, now we play this quite often on the playground, don't we, where we bounce the ball and see if we can shoot it into the hoop, which is up in the sky. And then judo, which is a self-defense sport. Now, before you read today's text, I'm going to go through some of the key words that I think you need to know before you read it. So the first one then, year 4, is competing. Competing. And competing means to go against someone. So it's a sport that you don't play on your own. You play with an opponent. It might be a friend or it might not be. Someone that you play against and you've got to try and win. Okay. The next word is racket. And a racket is another word for a bat. Okay, so if we just quickly go back a page. This is a racket. Okay. Then we've got involves, and that means to be part of and included in. And then finally, we've got self-defense. And I put a little snake here to remind us that this k makes a s sound in defense. And self-defense means that you're stopping harm to yourself. So now I would like you to please turn to page 20, where you're going to read the text. Okay, so let's have a little look at it under the visualiser. So here at the top we've got a little bit of an introduction. To stay healthy, it's important to do plenty of exercise. There are lots of different sports that you can do. And then you'll see year 4, if I just zoom out a tiny bit, you'll see that there are 5 boxes. And each of these boxes tells you about a different sport. So this box is about football, and we know it's about football because we've got a title, football. This box is about badminton, and we know that again because of the title. And there's also a picture to help you. We've got table tennis, basketball and judo. So in the table tennis box, the only information in that box is going to be about table tennis. Okay? In the basketball box, the only information in that box is going to be about basketball. So what I want you to do now is to have a read through that text, to think about those keywords that we spoke about at the start, and to underline any words that you're still unsure of so that you can ask somebody at home what they mean. Well done for having a go at reading that year 4. Our texts really are getting longer, and that's because our reading is really improving. Now the skill I want to teach you today is called skimming, okay? And skimming means that we're looking at the text quickly and we're trying to spot key words. Okay, so we're not reading it in loads of detail really carefully. We're just looking for key words. And let me show you under the visualiser how we do that. So, your first question says, why is it important to do exercise? So I'm going to pick out my keyword in that sentence, and the keyword is exercise. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip back over to the text and see if I can spot the word exercise in any of my sentences. Okay, so remember I'm just doing it quickly. I'm not reading every word, I'm just whizzing through. I'm going to keep going until I find a word that begins with exercise. Brilliant, I've found it. And then I'm going to use that sentence to help me to answer question number 1. Question number 2. In football, how many people on each team are allowed to pick up the ball? So one keyword in there is football. I'm not going to be looking in the judo box or the badminton box. I'm only going to focus on the box about football. And I'm looking for a sentence or some words about picking up the ball. So I'm going to flip back over, go to my football box. Okay, and which one's telling me they can pick up the ball? Something about the ball. A round ball, that doesn't help me. Ball, ball, ball. Only the goalkeeper is allowed to touch the ball with their hands. Okay, so that will help me to answer question number 2. Table tennis uses a shuttlecock. Is this true or false? So on this, you're only going to use the word true or false. My key word again is going to be table tennis and shuttlecock. So let's have a look in the table tennis box. Can I see anything about using a shuttlecock? So there's the table tennis box, and I'm looking for the word shuttlecock. Can I see it? Look how quick I'm going. I'm not reading every word. And I can't see it, so that one must be false. Okay, number 4, judo is a martial art. Explain what this means. So again, I'm going to be looking in the judo box and thinking about martial art. Okay, so let's find my judo box, which is down here, and about a martial art. Okay, can I see martial art anywhere? I've spotted it. Now what does that mean? I'm going to use this first sentence to help us. Which sport is played by the largest team? Now for this one, year 4, you're going to have to read every box, okay? And we're looking for numbers so we can see which is played by the biggest team, okay? So in football, I can see the number 11 players. In badminton, I can see the word 2 people. Ping pong, 2 or 4 players. 5 players in basketball. And then judo. So I want you to now look at what I've highlighted to see if that will help you to answer that question. And then the last 2 questions, year 4, are your opinion. Okay, so we're going to have a little chat about my opinion, and then we'll see what you write when it's your turn. So, which do you think would be the hardest sport? So do you think it would be football, or are you quite good at football? Do you think it would be judo? Maybe if you've never done judo, that could be really, really difficult. But make sure you tell me why. So I think football would be the most difficult or the hardest. And that's because I'm not very good with my feet. Okay? But if you're fantastic at kicking a ball, your opinion might be different to mine. And the final question then, do you like to play sports? Which one is your favourite? So again, your opinion might be different than anybody else's. Once you've done that, I do have one more challenge for you, year 4, like always. And my challenge for you today is to design your own sport. And it can be whatever you want it to be. Could be a combination of football and basketball. Okay, you've got to tell me what you'll have to do in that sport, how many people can play, what equipment you will need, and how do you win. And it would be lovely if when we came back to school, we could maybe have a go at playing some of your sports. Okay. To finish today's lesson then, year 4, once you've done your questions and your writing, let's roll our dice. Okay, what number will we land on? Number 2. What were you most pleased with? So have a think about your learning today. What were you really proud of yourself for achieving? Don't forget to take a picture and send it to the Year 4 email address.